Welcome to the Before Midnight podcast, coming to you from Frankfort, Kentucky. In this podcast, we explore the world of age group triathletes. We'll be looking at the real world challenges of being an amateur multi sport athlete. I'm your host, Linda Word, along with my co host, Brian Schenkenfelder. How's it going today, Brian? It's a wonderful evening.
It's going well considering it's rained all day. My throat for some reason has decided to not cooperate with talking tonight. But we will work our way through it.
Yeah,
Somehow.
we'll just listen to you hack up a lung here and there, but that's okay. Earlier, it sounded like a dry throat cough, so
Yeah.
it's not productive. That kind of
Sorry.
that.
Yeah. No, it's I'm struggling. We'll see what we can do though. Hopefully it won't be too
Okay.
bad.
Hopefully not. Meanwhile, I'm over here yawning because I'm tired. So
It
we're
happens.
we're both in great shape tonight.
Great form. Let's go.
Great. All right. So, what? How's your week been going since last time we spoke?
It's been going pretty well until this morning. I woke up at 6 a.m., which most people would be like, oh, that's nice and early. That's great. Except I needed to be at the pool to coach at 6 a.m.
So, say, isn't that when practice starts? Which I don't get to go to because my work schedule has changed. So, I could not be there to text you and go, "Wake up, you fool."
Yeah, it was. Well, I mean, even if you woke me up at that point, it still
I guess it would
takes
have
me
been
like
too late.
30
Yeah.
minutes to get there. It's about a 25
Yeah.
minute drive. It would take me about 5 or 6 minutes to get ready. 25 minute
Well,
drive.
usually what I do is I text you and say, "Are you coming?" so that we know what we're doing to do.
Yeah. No, it
And you
was.
were.
The fault lies with me. I was up too late last night, but I'm always up too late. This. Yeah, I just got caught this time not being able to get up. But part of the problem is Google. I use the clock app to wake up, and it used to have an assistant routine. Your alarm
Okay.
would go off when you turned it off. It would start talking, tell you what the weather was going to be that day, tell you what the first 3 or 4 items on your schedule was. If you wanted to, it could tell you the news and other interesting tidbits.
That would put me back to sleep. Anyway.
Well, that actually just continued noise helps wake me up. A lot of times the alarm will go off. I'll hit it. I'll be in a semi-conscious state. Usually I power through and wake up. But like today I did not. And that extra just audio cues probably would have pulled me out of my sleep and I probably would have made it through. For some reason Google has turned off that feature. I think it has to do with Assistant. Somewhere along the way I changed Google Assistant to use their new Gemini product, which was their AI. Because that's where it's all headed. I mean, whatever the classic Google Assistant's going away, and it's going to be
Okay.
their AI project, which is fine. I don't care. Move forward. So now I have to come up with a new strategy. I think I'm just going to set a second alarm in the morning now.
Mhm.
I hate that because it's kind of silly. I think that's what I'm going to do, though. I'm going to have a time when I wake up and then one that's maybe 10, 15 minutes later just to ensure I arise and face the day.
So I have two alarm clocks. I use my phone, and I just use that alarm. But a long time, several years ago, I bought a uh, UV light alarm clock.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a sunrise. It gets
Yeah.
lighter. It starts about a half an hour beforehand. The big problem with it though is before it starts to do that nice gentle sunrise, there's a blue light that goes blink
Oh.
that comes on first. I'm like, that's a really poor design. So I actually have it facing the wall. But the whole thing is kind of annoying enough that even if I push snooze, that is annoying enough to wake me up, to keep me up. So it's like, who put that? I've thought about getting another one, but I'm like, you know what? That really does get me up. So, we'll leave it as is.
Yeah, the phone does the same thing. It starts to light up before you're supposed to wake up. It kind of simulates that
Oh,
whole lightening the room and kind of getting you ready to wake up.
This is supposed to be like a light therapy light too,
Right.
where like if you're just, you can turn it on anytime. But
Oh yeah.
I don't. I will use that in the middle of the winter when it's very dreary. I'm like, sunlight. I just want some light, please. Well, I'm sorry that you slept in. Oh well.
I think that's my first miss in probably about 6 or 7 months. I usually miss
Yeah.
one or two from oversleeping a year, which isn't bad considering there's 150 practices a year or 156 practices a year. I might miss 5 or 6 a year.
That's pretty good statistically. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I usually do pretty well. The only time I
Yeah.
miss is the handful of oversleeps when I go on a trip, and then sometimes soccer I can't make Saturdays since they push it to Saturdays. That's an unfortunate day of the week for me.
Yeah, that gets a little tight on your schedule, I'm sure.
Yeah, because oh man, it's crazy. I've Alex is playing soccer. He's in two leagues, the KPL and KSSL. He only has like 6 or 7 games in KPL, so they joined the second league. They've got 10 games scheduled, and he's got 2 tournaments that all have to be done by kind of the second half of May. That's 17 games and 2 weekends of tournaments. And
So
then
how do they schedule it so that he's not like playing two games at once? I mean, does that happen where the
no,
schedule
there
overlaps?
are
No?
I think going to be 2 days where we play 2 games in one day, which
Okay.
is suboptimal.
Right.
But most of the time, he's playing just about every Saturday and Sunday between not this weekend, but that following weekend, all the way up until almost the beginning of
Okie
June.
dokie.
Then I got my team that has 10 games, and like scheduling is such a pain in the butt because, well, I have to schedule my team's game. I mean, he has a team manager that schedules his, and she's really nice. She is really good at it and very quick. Like the KPL's been scheduled for a while, but the KSSL, that's the same league I'm in. That all comes out at the same time. She's really good about getting scheduling done quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And then she shares with me what she has, and I don't share it with the team. It allows me to like go, okay, this is when Alex's games are. Let me see if I can schedule my games around when Alex is. I can't do it all the time, but I should be able to make a good 13 of those games, maybe 12, 13 of those 17, 16, 17 games he has. I should be able to make both tournaments as well, which is great.
There you go. Yeah.
That's pretty good. But yeah, scheduling is this thing where you get a list of names of the other teams. Okay, schedule. Here's when the season starts. Here's when the season ends. Schedule.
Yeah. Okay.
My side's pretty easy because it's like, here are my availability. When do you want to do home game? When do you want to do away game? Because we have home and away games. Some of the other teams have a little more issue with this. If you're in a bigger club or where you have a bunch of teams sharing fields, you have to figure out when you can schedule a field, make sure you have refs and all that stuff. Fortunately,
Yeah,
I don't
that's what I
have
was
to
gonna
deal
say.
with that complexity. But it's
Okay.
still a nightmare. One team coach didn't get back to me till for like 5 or 6 days. So it was just the last day or two that I was able to complete my schedule for the season. And it's wild. That I combined Alex's schedule and my schedule. I have between now and the second week in June, I've got 1 or 2 things, 3 things every weekend. No free weekends.
Okie dokie. Well, don't get sick and don't plan a vacation.
No, that's what the summer's for. That's what July and August are for, or at least the beginning of August. Soccer will start back
Say
up
we
at
go
some
back
point.
to school second week of August. So yeah, that's out.
Yeah.
Wow.
No,
I do
June and
not
July
miss
are my
all
months
those
off.
days. I was smart. My girls did dance when they were little, and so it's like, okay, 2 recitals a year. Yep. Spring and Christmas. All right, we're good. They didn't dance in the summer. I mean, I taught riding lessons and I was showing horses, so we had all that when they were little, but we just did not. Neither one of them had a desire to do soccer, thank goodness, or basketball.
Yeah, we're
Shoot.
finishing up basketball season this weekend. They mistimed the schedule. I won't get to go to the tournament because I'm supposed to be reffing the boys' version of that collegiate thing this coming weekend.
Oh, okay.
So
That should be exciting.
that should be interesting. That's going to be a very fast paced game and potentially violent. Although I don't, there's no like trophies on the line that helps calm it
Yeah.
down a little bit. But yeah, it'll still be quite the adventure trying to officiate those games. I'm thinking we'll see.
Mhm.
I think I'll definitely be pulling out some cards this weekend. Is be my guess. We'll see.
You have fun with it. I'm debating about whether or not I'm going to do the triathlon on Sunday. I still have. Thank God it wasn't last weekend. I was sure it was supposed to be last Sunday, and it was going to be like 6 degrees, and I was like, no.
It's supposed to be better this weekend.
Yeah, this weekend's supposed to be a lot better. So I did my first road ride on the roads of 2024 yesterday. I got the bike off the trainer.
Yeah, I got out yesterday too. It was nice.
Yeah, it was nice. I did about 14 miles. I did a leg day at the gym yesterday morning. So by the time after working all day, and then I hopped on the bike and I was like, I don't think I need any steep hills. I went out towards Woodford County and Versailles. So I only had the one big monster hill before I turned around, that I went down and I had to get back up. But it was really nice.
Well, that's good.
And then,
yeah. It's nice to get out on the road if you haven't been in a while.
Well, and my husband bought me the Garmin radar for my birthday, which was like back in September.
Right. So the Varia or whatever?
The Varia, yeah. With the light and with the radar. And luckily I had another light on my bike because about 5 minutes into the ride, my computer was going battery critical low. And I'm like, oops.
Someone should have charged it.
Well, it worked beautifully. Man, that thing is awesome. But then it died because it wasn't charged. I was like, oh well, screwed that up. All right. Note to self, equipment works much better when it's plugged in. It's one of my biggest fears of having the electronic shifting on a bike is, being out there and not having it charged because I'm pretty notorious for forgetting to do that. And then you can't shift, right? Isn't that the way that works? Yeah. So for us charging incompetence, whatever.
So did it work long enough to see a car behind you?
Yeah. Yeah, I had about 3 or 4 cars actually that came up behind me, and it beeps and it's got those red bars. You've got the same thing, right? Don't you have one?
Yes. Yeah. I don't get it. Yeah. Depending on the speed, I get different colors. How fast they're coming up on me.
Everybody was really slow. Well, my other light on the back of my bike, it flashes blue and red, and that tends to just slow people right down.
Right.
So they were coming up, so it was red. The sides of the signal, that it shows up red and then turns green as soon as they get past. So, but yeah, nobody was speeding up behind me at all.
Okay.
It was nice.
Yeah.
I like that area.
Okay. But yeah, it's pretty cool when it works.
Mm-hmm. When it's charged.
Yeah, it helps to keep things charged.
Yep, I will do better. And the other thing, I have a new coworker that I did not intend on having. My husband is out of town, and so my dog has got to stay in the backyard. And we have a kind of a back room that he can go in and out of. And yesterday, he actually decided to eat a video camera. And I had kept the video camera because it has smaller tapes, and I know there's tapes running around that someday I'll put on something else. So that's why I kept it. Yeah, he demolished the camera. I'm like, oh my God, dog.
I guess he's graduated from beds.
Yeah, he's eaten 4 beds. He now has a Carhartt bed. And, well, the scary thing now is like, okay, if he's going for something like that, my bikes are next. My bikes are back there. And that is my biggest fear is that he's going to get a hold of a wheel that's attached to a carbon bike. So I need to probably start hanging my bikes, number one. But
Just keep them inside the house, man. Beside your bed. That's what I would do. I'd do
well, the
that
dog
now if my
sleeps
wife
there
would let
too.
me. No,
Well, right now the dog's in the house, so
fair.
but
Yeah.
so I bought him a crate, and he is now a new coworker at preschool. So
Well, there you go. There
yeah,
you go.
he did pretty well. I mean, he was a little like, wow, there's a lot of really small human beings here.
Yeah. Kind of freak him out a little bit.
Yeah, and they were like chasing, and they're high pitched and squealing and stuff. But they did pretty good because I kind of told them all, like, you keep doing that, you really like having him here. If he knocks you over, he can't come back. And they were like, oh no, we don't want that. So that worked
Well, there
pretty
you
well to
go.
stop them, from uh, going off the rails a little bit with the dog. So, like, oh my God, what else are you going to eat, dog? Anyway,
This is why I don't own dogs. This is why I own cats.
yeah, and this dog too, he doesn't bark. Like, he
Oh.
never barks. A
Well,
pizza
isn't
man,
that
we
the whole
live,
point of having a dog is so they bark and scare intruders
well,
away?
yeah, a 70-pound dog you would figure would bark. I had a pizza man get lost and come all the way back to our house. We're a tenth of a mile off the road and knock on my front door, and that dog made not one sound. I'm like, seriously? Just because he
See,
had pizza?
that's what would happen to me. I was like, everybody's like, you should get a dog for protection. I was like, yeah, no, he probably wouldn't bark, or he would bark at the wrong things.
He will howl. This dog will howl, and he is massive. I mean, when I'm running with him, I really don't worry about anybody bothering me because he is a big dog.
Right.
But it's like, you could give me the heads up that
Somebody's there.
somebody's walking. Yeah, somebody's walking up to the house. We've had him about 6 months, and we don't know his history before, and he may still be like trying to figure out that this is his home. I don't know. But
Interesting.
anyway, I no longer have a child at home, but I have a 70-pound, completely covered with fur child. Anyway, all right, on to the topic this week. We're going to kind of wrap up talking about Rethinking Triathlon, the book that Brian wrote that is available on Amazon. And we're kind of near the end and talking about the off season, correct? Is that where we are?
Yeah, the book, as it winds its way through the season, because that was one of the big things of this is like, okay, let's go through what's the kind of the preseason look like, what's our racing season look like, and then lastly, it's like, okay, there's an off season, and the big thing that I'm trying to convey to people is you need to disconnect from training plans. You need to disconnect from all of those things that you've
made a habit, and then all of a sudden you have to give up that
habit that you've obsessed. That's the word I'm looking for. That you've obsessed over for months. You need to give that up for a little bit. This is a great, because usually like the off season's what we're talking like October, November time frame till January, February, roughly. I mean, when you look at like the triathlon season, you're not generally going to do, unless you're like traveling overseas to like Australia, you're probably not doing a winter race. Most people don't go out.
So that would be a summer race.
In their cake. Yeah, it'd be summer. That's why you have to go to South America or Australia to race in the winter. Unless you're doing that. The winter months are the off season here in the continental United States. Like November, December, what happens those months? Aren't there like major holidays those months?
You eat a lot.
Yeah, you got the holidays, you got Thanksgiving, you got Christmas. Spend some time with your family, especially the people that do like the distance, the long Ironman races. I know you're not spending your weekends entirely with your family because I know you're going out and doing these 7-8 hour rides. There's a lot of time being consumed in racing, especially the long distance. This is a good time to like, okay, I'm not going to go out and ride 50 hours on the weekend. I'm going to instead spend some time with my family. Now, I guess it depends on your family whether or not that's a good thing or not.
I was going to say. Spend some time with your dog that eats your stuff.
What I'm saying is enjoy the holidays. Don't get stressed about training. There's nothing you're going to gain in the winter months that are going to help you except to burn out.
Mm-hmm.
So the book really kind of goes over, okay, we don't want organized training. Well, what do we need? We can't just become lumps in the log and put on 50 pounds. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about how can we stay active? You might put a few pounds on because it is the holidays. There's a lot of eating going on. We're heading into winter, and people generally get into hibernate mode in the winter. We don't want to go into a shell and, like I said, put on 50 pounds and completely get away, but we need to think about, okay, how can we stay active yet not necessarily training for a race? Mm-hmm. Maybe in the pool. Maybe we learn different strokes. This might be a great time to learn butterfly. I know how much everybody loves butterfly.
There's never a good time to learn butterfly. Okay. Anyway.
Well, then breaststroke, which is actually a fairly useful stroke for racing, because it makes it.
That's the thing about butterfly. It's not useful, but backstroke and breaststroke are useful.
If you're good enough at fly, you could use it as a sighting tool because you can still look up each time. It has a similar type of sighting as breaststroke.
Yeah, but you'll whale the snot out of anybody that's close to you.
Well, it's a chance to create some space for yourself in a race.
Okay. It's one way to do it. Oh my God.
When we talk about cycling, it's cold outside. You don't want to be on the trainer all the time. Mountain biking is a pretty good sport to take up. It will definitely help with your bike handling skills. I'm sure you can attest to that.
Yes, absolutely. It was different yesterday. Actually, getting on the road bike after being on the mountain bike all winter, I was like, whoa, this is super skinny. This is really light. Oh my God, I loved putting it on the back of my car. I was like, wee! Oh, it's awesome. Anyway.
That is good. But mountain biking also will challenge you in different ways than road. A lot of times mountain biking will have really steep inclines, which means high power output that you don't generally get all the time on a road bike. You have to be on very steep hills to get similar type of power output usage outside of sprinting or doing something like that. Mountain bike will test you in different ways than road does. So it just becomes a nice change of pace if you want to continue biking. For running, maybe you want to go out and do some trail running instead, just to change the surfaces and make life a little bit easier. The trail running is great because it's okay, I don't have to worry about pace because my pace is not going to be anywhere near what it is on the road because of the up and down nature and the unstable surface. So I can just get out and run, just to run. Or, if you don't like running, maybe just get out and just hike, just to get outside and keep moving. Maybe you like other sports. Some people like skiing. Some people, if you're young enough, you might want to play basketball. I'm too old for that. Go out and play soccer or something like that. I'd end up in traction or something when I'm done. So for us older people, maybe we take up stretching. Yoga might be the way
supposed to be doing anyway. Yeah.
Yoga might be the way to go over the winter.
Yeah.
This would be a good time if you wanted to get in and lift weights. If that was your thing, this would be a good time of the year to do that. So there's a lot of different activities. The key is I want to stay active. I want to maintain probably a schedule that's similar to what I had during the regular year. Not the load, not the hours, but maybe just the days of the week.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of going out and doing that 2-hour run, maybe I go out and run 30 minutes. Maybe I go out and bike for 45 minutes or an hour. Maybe I go for a hike for an hour or two. Just do things just to kind of maintain your schedule. Because I know it can be really difficult for people. They have a hard time getting into that schedule. And then now I'm asking you to kind of get out of that schedule and then try to get back into it later. Not necessarily. Just change what you do. Make it a lot easier. Try to make it more fun. Try not to stress about it. Just be active during those time periods, not necessarily worry about what you're doing. More so than
Right.
just do something, if that makes sense.
Well, and things like, let's say you always had a 2-hour run. Well, why don't you go drive a little bit further and find someplace you've never run before?
There you go.
Explore different trails, or I mean, there's so many areas around here that are really nice. I mean, going to the parklands it's really nice out there. But it's a little bit of a drive, so I don't go very often. But it's like, what, I got time today because I'm really not going to run that long or whatever.
Right.
So
That's a good
go
suggestion as
exploring.
well. I also mentioned in the book equipment maintenance. Triathletes are notorious for not maintaining their equipment. I don't know how many bikes I've seen when I did own a bike shop of just bikes that have just been ridden thousands of miles where the chains have never really been cleaned.
Mm-hmm.
Just things are worn, the chains are worn, everything's worn on the bike, and it just hasn't been maintained. I've only had like one or two where it's like, okay, this is going to be expensive. I had a wheel had to be replaced because they'd just ridden the heck out of it. It was never, I guess it was just the lubrication on it went bad, but the the bearings that run in the wheel had dug into the hub, which meant
Oh,
that
wow.
hub was done. So they had to get a new wheel. I had one other person who just rode their bike too long. The chain had stretched, i.e., worn so much that it changes its length, which will
Mm-hmm.
wear out your chain rings really quickly. He had nice little spiky little chain rings, and he needed a whole new front chain rings, and he needed a new rear cassette.
Ooh, oh.
Which is not cheap by any means. That's a couple $100 easy. That, if you spend just a few minutes here and there lubricating your chain and maintaining it and
Mm-hmm.
getting that tune up once a year will go a long way to keeping your bike up and running. But I mean, the same can be true for other equipment as well. I mean, check out your swim stuff, check out your run stuff. Is it good? Do you need new shoes? Do you need new goggles? Do you need new swimsuit? The stuff wears over time. The off season, we're not spending a lot of time on training. Let's check out our equipment.
Mm-hmm. Good advice.
And then,
I didn't realize when I hopped on my bike yesterday, I've been on the trainer and I just really hadn't noticed. I like clicked with my cleat and I was like, that's not tight at all. And I was actually kind of shocked that I hadn't realized it being on the trainer, but as soon as I got off the trainer, I was like, ooh, yeah, we might want to tighten up those screws.
yeah, that's
Little
probably a good
things.
thing because what'll happen is the screws will fall out and then your like cleat will just no longer be attached to your shoe. Or I think what
Correct.
happened to
Me.
was it you or were you the one that had one come out in the middle of the ride?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yep.
Yeah.
And yeah, I had one screw it. I could not get my foot. I could not unclip
Yes, you're not going to be able
because
to.
the cleat. Yeah,
The
my
cleat
shoe was
just,
still attached, but
but
it
the
was
cleat's not going to move.
turning.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, it was awful. I ended up having to walk up a hill because I was afraid to stay clipped in case because it was one of the super steep hills in
Oh
downtown,
yeah.
and I ended up getting off the bike and walking in socks back to the bike store. And they're going, "Help me, Brian." Yeah, yeah. Check those cleats.
Check the screws in your cleats. Yeah, there's been a handful of times where I've like, occasionally flipped the shoe over and like, oh, I only have two of the three screws. Maybe we should tighten them and try to find another one
Mm-hmm.
to, to replace the missing one. So yeah, those things can happen. Things can go undone, done there as well. So equipment maintenance is always a really, you've got more time to think about stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I finished the book off talking about the need to evaluate everything within your triathlon. most of these triathletes, most triathletes I run into, it's all about fitness. But it's not all about fitness. Are my skills good? Are my, do I have good bike handling skills? Is my bike well maintained? Are I can look at every area of triathlon and evaluate and try to find where I can improve. The problem with fitness is eventually you hit the plateau. We got to find other areas to improve besides just fitness. And it's important that people kind of evaluate the sport from different angles and try to look for areas where they can improve and become a better overall triathlete, not just fitter. Because like I said, fitness at some point begins to plateau, and as you get older, it starts heading downhill. It's just the way
Aging works, yeah.
It's the way of the aging, yes.
Yep.
Oh, I there is one more part of the book. There's some appendices on the end. One of the appendices, I say there's no math in the book until you get to the appendices. Because it wouldn't be me if there wasn't math. Like, you got to have math in your book.
So that's why I skipped that section, right?
There is a section on, for those who want to create their own training plans, how you go about calculating how much work is in a particular workout, and how you can then take those workouts and stack them on top of each other week for week, so that you can begin to put together your own training plan rather than relying on a magazine, a book, or a coach. Unless you want a coach, so then you should contact us.
I was gonna say, Brian, aren't we coaches? Why are you saying that? Shush.
Because it's important for people to be able to do it themselves.
Yeah.
For various reasons. I mean, you're not always going to have the coach available to answer questions. So it's important, especially if you get into it and you have some mathematical inclinations. It is a good way to kind of look at your training. And it also helps explain what you see on your Garmin, because it'll give training load scores and stuff like that, and your load management. That's all part of the Garmin's nowadays. That's all calculated a certain way, and the book talks about how they calculate the amount of whatever load that a particular workout has. Just some interesting little tidbits in the book for those who are interested in that sort of thing.
Cool. I'm sure there are lots of people out there that would love that.
Probably not, but there will be some. for the engineers out there who race, yeah, it's for them.
Yeah.
For
everybody else, talk to me.
I am here for those guys and gals who are the engineer types out there that want to do it themselves and want to build their own algorithms and stuff for creating workouts.
I love it when we have clients that are like, I don't understand. And I said, don't worry about it. How did that feel? Yeah.
Yeah.
By the numbers. The numbers are very important, though. That is true.
They can be. Well, they help you create something that's cohesive and builds upon itself. That's the big thing that numbers. You need to have some understanding of numbers so that you know how you're putting together something and building it over time in a way that doesn't get you hurt.
Yeah. Being hurt's the worst.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, very good. Well, congratulations on finally getting that book done. That's quite an accomplishment.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, it was kind of took a while to take all the different pieces of knowledge and put them on paper and then put them into some type of coherent book that made some sense and flowed well. So it was good.
Yeah.
It was a fun experience. You begin to realize kind of where you might have gaps, where you might have areas that you hadn't necessarily thought of. It makes you think about how you need to describe things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, as you pointed out previously, swimming. That it's one thing to kind of know what a good swimming stroke looks like and give people some tips. It's another thing to explain how the swim stroke works.
Right.
From the front to the back. So there were some interesting benefits of having to explain things deeper than I would if we were just having a chat on the side.
Mm-hmm. So and also different than if you could show somebody.
Right.
It's
correct.
Not, book is not video, and
Yeah.
So it's a little bit more challenging to come up with the right sequence and words and everything. So no, good job. Very impressive. I think you were one of the only authors I actually know personally.
Well, there you
Cool.
go.
Yay.
Yay.
All righty. Well, listen, I hope you have a wonderful week next week. Get through this weekend. Good luck on refereeing.
Yes.
I hope there's not too many cards flying.
I just hope I don't have as many games. Hopefully, I will physically not be destroyed like I was last time.
Oh, good point. Yeah, don't do that.
There's only
Yeah.
7 games. Although I think I'm center a little more often. It's going to be 7 times. That's 21 miles in 2 days of walk run. That's combination. That's actually quite a bit.
Yeah, that's a bunch. You'll
Just
be more
hoping not to
tired
get
than
hurt.
me if I do the try. My goal is to get halfway through the swim before Jen catches up to me. So
Yeah, no. When I do 2 days of a tournament like that, and I'm doing like 7 or 8, 9 games, it feels like I did a half when
yeah,
I'm done.
well,
That's
you
about what it
kind of
feels like.
did.
A half Ironman distance is
Yeah.
what it kind of feels like. It usually takes me a couple days to be able to like walk normally and do anything useful.
You need to train better for these, Brian.
Exactly. It would help if it's not in my off season when I'm
Yeah,
in this whole mode of I'm not doing anything as much, or
yeah.
not doing as much.
Might want to rethink that next year and go, maybe up the running a little bit more.
Or just not do a tournament in February. Might be the better solution.
Probably. All right. Well, if you all are looking for a coach, you can look us up at go3sport.com if you actually want to have a coach, or certainly can look at Brian's book and figure it out as well. But either one. And let's see, how do we do this? If you like us, do we still have like buttons?
Yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, there's a like button. Hit what the kids would call it, smash the like button. There you go. There's a good one for you. Smash the like button.
Oh, good Lord.
Subscribe for future content. And hey, if you've enjoyed this video and you know other people that are either wanting to get in triathlon or have been in triathlon and they think they might enjoy it, spread the word. That's the best thing you can do to help out our podcast.
There we go. See you all next week. Thanks for listening.